What's up, my beautiful people? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about credit utilization. And for those of you that are new to the channel, we talk about all things credit, real estate, and finance. So I made a prior video regarding credit utilization, and there was a lot of comments and people that were still inquiring after I made the video for more clarity and more context. So I decided to remix and make another video, this video, to provide some more context and clarity as to what credit utilization actually is and what are the benefits of it and how it can affect your credit score. So before we dive into the numbers, and we're going to use real simple numbers just for understanding purposes, but before we dive into the numbers, let's talk about what is credit utilization. So credit utilization is simply how much credit you're utilizing, aka using, in relation to your overall limit. Okay, so we're going to dive into the numbers, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and then we're going to break this down to the micro so that we can easily digest it and understand how we pay our credit cards from here moving forward, so that way we can maximize our credit scores every single month. Let's go. Okay, so here we go. So let's suppose you have a Visa card with $1,000 limit, right? 30% of that $1,000 limit is $300. So FICO does not want you to exceed a $300 statement balance. Not you using your card more than $300, but more than $300 reporting on your statement date. And we'll get into that a little further here shortly. Okay? So for right now, I want you to focus on, if you have a $1,000 credit card or whatever the number is, I'm just using these numbers for simplicity purposes. You have a $1,000 credit card, 30% of that $1,000 is $300. So if you ask, what's 30%? What's the significance of that? So FICO, if you Google FICO pie chart, you'll see that 30% is credit utilization. So 30% is FICO's benchmark that they want you to be at or under when this balance reports out to the credit reporting agencies every single month. Okay? So right now, if you have a credit card and you're watching this video, pause it, pull up your credit card statement. Let's walk through this together so you can get that picture that I'm trying to paint for you. So pull up your credit card statement and look for your minimum payment due date, and then look for your statement date. Okay, these two dates are going to be on your statement. So the minimum payment due date is when your minimum payment is due on whatever balance you're about to carry over. In this example, we're saying that we have a $300 balance. Okay. So the minimum payment due, let's say it's $30. So the minimum payment due is on 2/10. So as of the recording of this video, it's 2/5. So we're going to say that in 2/10, my minimum payment on this credit card is due, and it's $30. And then the statement date generally is after your due date. It's within a 3 to 5 hour window, depending on your credit card provider, right? So it can be 3 days out, it can be 5 days out, it might be 2 days out, whatever the case is, right? So find your due date on your credit card statement and find your statement date, right? So we want to make sure that we're paying our credit cards, obviously by the due date, but not utilizing it until after the statement date, until after this date right here. So whatever that date is on your credit card statement, circle it. And when you make your payment on your due date, on the minimum due date payment, do not utilize that credit card until after this day lapses. So on 2/16, right? So this statement date is on 2/15. So on 2/16, I can resume using this credit card and not have any effect to my credit score if I let this $300 balance post, right? So if I have a $1,000 limit, I use 30%, I use $300, okay? And I just make the minimum payment of $30 on 2/10. That is gonna be $270, right? I don't want to write on the board to confuse people with numbers. But if I make a $30 payment here, let's just say this goes down to $270. It's not actually going to go down to $270 because of the interest, but again, for simplicity purposes, you make a minimum payment of $30. This goes down to $270. That $270 is going to report out to the credit reporting agencies on $216. Right? Okay, you follow me? Okay. So now you know your minimum payment due date, and now you know your statement date. These two dates are extremely important because if you're going to maximize your credit score, like we're about to talk about down here, you want to be familiar with these two dates. So to maximize your credit score, you're going to carry over a balance between 1 to 7%. Okay? And the reason why, it's because I used to say in my videos, if you've been following me for a while, to pay down to 0, but credit information is always changing, monthly, yearly, etc. So my last meeting with FICO wants to see between 1 to 7% because they want to, the credit cards want to make their money, and they want to see that you're actually using that credit card, right? So when you carry over a 1 to 7% interest, you're paying a little bit of interest to the credit card company, so now they're happy, and then you're happy because your score stays high. So I don't recommend just staying at the 30% benchmark that the algorithm is predicated upon. I recommend keeping it between 1 to 7%. So if we use 7% as the high number, 7% of 1,000 is $70. So come your minimum due date on 2/10, you'll pay this down to $70, right? So you'll pay $230 on this $300 balance, and then your remainder that you're going to carry over is $70. That puts you right at 7% usage. Okay, between 1 to 7, whatever number you choose to pick. But you're going to pay a little bit of interest, and that's just the price of doing business, right? So you pay a little bit of interest to the credit card companies. They're going to report out that you have this low usage, and FICO is going to reward you and your credit score for having this amount. Okay, so I hope that we're clear with that. Now, this is an individual picture. If you have one credit card, okay, if you have one credit card, this is your blueprint, this is what you go by. But the majority of Americans have multiple credit cards, right? So this side of the equation is for multiple credit cards. So let's assume that you have a Visa, a MasterCard, and an American Express, right? Again, these numbers are simple so that we can understand and easily digest this information. So each credit card has $1,000 balance. $1,000 limit. You use 30% on each card, so it's literally the same information that's over there, just transferred over here, times 3, right? So 30% of 1,000 is 300. So you have 3 credit cards with 30% utilization on each. That's $300 each. That's a $900 total of balance that you have across these 3 accounts. All right. So each card is $1,000. So you have a total of a $3,000 limit, and you're using 30% of that, which is $900. I hope everybody's with me up to this point. All right. So your OU, overall utilization, is 900. Now, let that sink in for a second. Overall utilization, right? When you have multiple credit cards, they go based on the overall amount, not just a singularity like it is over there. Okay, so that's very important. So for an example, if let's say you have your Visa, let's say your Visa is at 900, right? And these other ones are at 0. You're like, well, I maxed out my Visa, my score is going to go down. That's not the case when you're talking about overall credit, right? So if you have an overall limit of 3,000 and you max out one credit card, if you put this $900 balance that's right now distributed between these 3 cards, if you put that 900 just on one and you're at 90% on one, that almost maxes that card out, but these other two have zero balances, you're still gonna be at 30%, right? So I hope that makes sense. So there's a singularity if you have one credit card, and then there's overall utilization when you have multiple credit cards. So if you have multiple credit cards, which most people do, you're in this area, you're in this quadrant over here, right? And this is, once you understand how to play this game, you can do what's called float debt throughout your credit cards. Once you know the statement date and the payment date, like we talked about over there, you can play this game, and I'll make a video about that, right? Once you start learning credit and how it works in the credit game, then you can start playing it at a high level like the rich and the wealthy do in order to leverage it. That's the key word, that big L, to leverage it to go ahead and build wealth for you and your family, okay? So with an overall utilization of 900, right? Let's just, again, take an example from over there. Let's say 7%. So if we take 7%, because again, we want to be between 1 to 7% every single month. We don't want to be over. We don't want to go with FICO's 30% benchmark, because that's when your score is going to take the most hit. We want to be between 1 and 7%, which is the sweet spot. So if we take the high number, 7% of 3,000, which is your overall, you're at 210, right? So again, when your statement date, when your due date comes up and you're making that payment, make sure that you pay that 900 balance down to 210 so that you're at the 7% mark and that you can maximize your credit score month in and month out. So there it is, my beautiful people. I hope that I broke that down and it's a lot clearer for you to understand how credit utilization works. You have the singularity if you have one credit card, right? And then you have the multiple overall utilization when you have multiple credit cards. So you got to look at both dynamics and you got to understand the differences between both, so that way you can maximize your credit score each and every month. And I implore you to understand how this thing works, because once you understand credit and when you're able to leverage credit to build wealth, to buy properties, to invest, and you don't have to use your own money, it's a game changer, a game changer. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate everybody that's been supporting me up until this point. I did take a break for a little while. We were getting some things in order. We were expanding our portfolio. We were getting into the commercial sector, but I have a bunch of new content coming out. Right now we're shooting in my garage that I just had done over, but I have my podcast room getting built upstairs. That's gonna take a couple of weeks. So once I get that done, I'm gonna be in there shooting some premium footage and videos for you guys. I took down my website for the interim. I'm not doing any consultation calls. I'm bogged down, but what I'm gonna do for you is I wanna see every single one of you win. So my mentorship, everything that I taught to my mentees, I know you guys are gonna, my mentees, you guys are gonna be upset, but I'm giving the game away for free, okay? It's up to you to take the information and execute. A lot of people are interested in business credit, how to build business credit, how to acquire business credit, how to build corporate credit so you can just use your EIN number and not your social security number, how to separate the two, how to properly structure your business. Every single thing that I teach my mentees, that I taught my mentees, I'm going to give to you for free. I'm going to break it down in the next upcoming videos so that way you can understand that business credit exists, it's real, it can be leveraged, and it will change your life, guaranteed. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful new year. Happy New Year. Hope everyone's great. Hope everyone's phenomenal. We out here just killing it, trying to help everybody level up for 2025. So if you have any questions, if this video was informative, if it helped you out, please comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what your struggles are. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see, so that way I can make the content to help you level up. My beautiful people, it's been real, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.